She-Hulk Attorney at Law Episode 3. So in the last episode, we found out that she'll be representing the Abomination in the court case. This episode continues that plot line, but it adds a new challenge for her to overcome. So what happens is the Abomination breaks out of prison, and that violates parole. But as the episode progresses, we find out that it was actually Benedict Wong, the Sorcerer Supreme. Well, it's Wong played by Benedict Wong, from the previous Doctor Strange films. He's the one who let him go. Now, one thing I was a bit confused about and I didn't piece together is that when he let him go, is this what, like, maybe I missed something, but was this supposed to be like what happened during Shang-Chi? Like, is that like where this takes place? Anyways, what ends up happening is she's upset because him breaking out of prison or whatever is a major problem, but he tells her that no, it was Wong that kind of convinced me. Wong does end up showing up and testifying in court for him, and as a result of that testimony, he actually is set free. So I believe, based on the plot of this episode, that the case of the Abomination is over, or they could go back to the Abomination in the future, in future episodes. But it really did feel like maybe this show's going to be structured like every 3 episodes will be a different case. We haven't seen Daredevil yet, but once again, I must say that Tatiana Maslany carries this show. Her smile, her spunkiness, the way she talks to the camera. It's very, very good. And Tim Roth is awesome because, Tim Roth is like the king of weird, unique accents, and he's very good at it here, trying to show that he's very much reformed. Also, I liked that they are now throwing in a new subplot, because what ends up happening is at the end of the episode, she basically gets into a fight, right? And it's these guys that have these Asgardian weapons that are basically construction equipment, and she pretty much fights them off, but they're trying to take a sample of her blood. Now, what we don't know is why. We don't know who's really behind this, but I think this may end up being the big plot, or may end up being, the big plot of the show. The other subplot, the secondary plot of this show, had to do with the shapeshift known as Light Elf, who pretended to be a musician known as Megan Thee Stallion, and she has to go to court and testify on behalf of Dennis Bukowski, because he basically was dating this chick, the Light Elf, who was shapeshifting, pretending to be somebody else, and that, of course, led to confusion, and that's what the case is all about. She testifies, he ends up winning. It is what it is. I did like a lot how they used Wong. It was kind of funny because she looks at the screen at one point. She's like, this is not one of those shows that has a special guest star every episode. That's not what it is. Even though we have Bruce and Wong, that's not what it is. But this show is set to be 9 episodes, right? There will be 9 episodes of She-Hulk Attorney at Law. So I could see episodes 4, 5, and 6 dealing with a different case, and then episodes 7, 8, and 9 with the last case. Or they could go in a different direction. But the fact that there's people now that are out there actively trying to get her blood is interesting. I really did enjoy a lot of the directing here. Very dynamic directing. The actors all have a ton of charisma. They all do well. They make the show fun. Really, the characters carry this show, and it has sort of a similar energy to Guardians of the Galaxy. Maybe less vulgar, I would say, but still very good. And like I said, if Tatiana Maslany wasn't so damn charismatic, this show would just not work. That's great casting, and they did a great job. Everybody here did a great job. I mean, everybody who is involved, did great. Even Megan Thee Stallion, who, by the way, is a real musician, a real rapper, she shows up at the end, the mid-credit scene, to actually be a part of the group, and I guess that she's going to be represented, I suppose, by her firm. Either way, that was a little... it was cool. Like, this episode was more episodic, I felt, than the previous ones, and I hope we're not done with Tim Roth's character of the Abomination, because he brings a lot of veteran quality acting, as well as he can do anything. Comedy, seriousness, he can do it all. I enjoyed it. I enjoyed this episode. I think episode 2 is probably still... I would say episode 1 is my favorite. 2 is probably a bit better, so 3 is probably the weakest one so far, but it's still a good show. I know there's some people who don't like it, and that's fine. You know, it's not for everyone, but it's carried by the actors. If it wasn't for this cast, I don't think it's going to work, and it works. So that's it. We'll see if there's any more mysteries coming up in the future. I do want to know who it is trying to get her blood. And I want to know what happens with Abomination. Is he going to end up going back to being a criminal again, or will he actually stay good? One of the parameters of him being let out is that he cannot become the Abomination ever again. And I feel like we're going to see him again do that at some point. So he will violate his probation, but the question is when, and will it be for the good side or the bad side? That remains to be seen. Anyways, that's it. What did you think about this episode? Thanks for watching. I'll talk to you real soon.